Hi, I'm Matt Humphreys, and I'll be teaching you about the fundamentals of user experience design. I'm so happy to be bringing this course online. Since 2014, I've taught it to hundreds of students in class. And I'm so happy that you've chosen to spend your precious time with me learning about this amazing subject matter. So let's get started, shall we? Let me start by introducing you to the idea of user experience design. User experience, what does it bring to mind when you think about that? You know, user experience for me is everywhere. It's part of our everyday life. Every time you interact with something in the physical space, you walk down the street, you see a sign, you get on a transit vehicle, you open a door, you're experiencing something. Whether it's industrial design or digital design or some sort of experience with another human. When we think about user experience, we think about how a user interacts with something or someone else. And in this subject matter, we're going to be concentrating on digital experiences. For us, user experience really does require a user and a product. That product in this case is going to be a digital experience, either on the web or through an app or some sort of other tangible digital product. For most professionals in this space, user experience is really a juxtaposition of a user need against a product objective. That product, of course, being something in the digital space. We start by understanding these fundamental needs of our user. What are their motivations? What types of behaviors do they follow? What is the intent of their action? And we juxtapose that against the objectives of the product itself. What is the product trying to do? What is the product trying to share? What is it trying to accomplish for that user? It's that overlap and that specific focus that we take when we create an experience for our end user. My name's Matt Humphreys, and I'm very excited to be here. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I started out in the arts with a Bachelor of Music from the University of Toronto. Now, of course, you're saying, okay, how does this guy get to do what he does now? Well, it's been a long road in my career that has taken me to where I am now as a digital agency executive, where I lead strategy and design conversations with small to medium to enterprise level clients across North America. I've also been a professor of design at a number of colleges since 2014. So I'm happy to bring this course that I've probably taught about 25 times into the digital space for you. I also teach a number of other topics, and I'm happy to share that with you through another channel. Also, through my vocation in music, I maintain that involvement in the industry, and I'm a passionate musician and entertainer on stage around 20-25 times a year. So let me start by understanding what the fundamentals of user experience design are. What is this course all about, and what will it entail? First and foremost, this course is going to be heavily weighted to the theory and process of user experience design. We're going to cover the entire roadmap from beginning to end to give you a high-level sense of what UX is. We're also going to cover a lot of territory in a very short time. There's a lot to take in, but if we do it in a staggered way, we should be able to comprehend and understand what this subject matter is all about. We're also going to take views from many lenses. We'll look at this from the client side, we'll look at this from the agency side, we'll look at this from a consultant perspective. User experience is not just for users. We need to understand it from a product perspective as well. We're going to cover some fairly general use cases that are a little more specific to understanding across the majority of the people taking the course. So we'll use common things like buying something online or subscribing or signing up for a product or service. We won't necessarily get into some of the nitty-gritty of specific use cases beyond something more comprehensive to the larger scale of people. Also, because of my experience in the agency world, I'll probably be referencing a lot of actual work and deliverables that I've either done or others like me have done. That will hopefully give you a perspective on how to apply a lot of these learnings to the real world. Also, I try to take not only a macro level view, like a large agency view to this, I really like to reference that micro level as well, because it's really tough for those who haven't been part of a large organization to really envision how this would apply in their real lives, say if they decide to be a freelancer or take on an independent project. And in that case, I really want to relate to those people as well. Finally, we will be following the J.J. Garrett book pretty closely. There are some diversions to that, and we have added a lot of additional material since inheriting that text. But overall, the arc of the course follows verbatim the breakdown of the table of contents of the Jesse James Garrett book that we'll be talking about momentarily. If you haven't gotten that book yet, please do so and give it a good read. It won't take you too long. Over the next 7 weeks, you'll be taking on a lot of information. Thankfully, we've sectioned it into 7 cohesive weeks that build on each other week to week. Try to take the time to review all the material every week because it will absolutely prepare you for that next progression in the week after. Firstly, this week, we're going to start talking about user experience design and what it is, how to see it, how it affects your life, where does it occur every single day. That'll give you a good foundation and overview of what UX is and what we're going to be doing in week 2 through 7. In week 2, we dive right into it and come up with a strategy for our project and for our client. We start to think about what research we need to do to come up with that strategy. How do we solve a problem? In week 3, we're going to look at scope. How do we take that idea we have and actually determine what will happen? In week 4, we'll look at the structure of our scope. We will start to build the pieces. We will take that tangible and make it real. In week 5, we'll look at the skeleton plane. The skeleton plane is where we start to create a blueprint of what we're going to deliver. In week 6, we'll continue along that path of the skeleton plane and add even more context to how you would layer in interaction design and information design. And in week 7, we'll wrap everything up by talking about the surface plane, which is what your user interface will look like. So what should you expect in this course? Well, as I already mentioned, this is a high-level overview of the topic. So there will be a lot of theory, but we're going to try to balance that. There will be practice as well. I'm going to give you a lot of micro assignments throughout the course, things that we would probably do in group exercises in class typically. I'm also going to give you the same assignments that I would running this class in person and give you evaluation throughout. Discussion, exchange of opinion will be part of the course as well. We'll have some forums and we'll have some dialogue where you can ask me questions and I can provide those answers to you. There will be testing throughout, 2 quizzes throughout the course that shouldn't be too difficult if you've been following the course material so far. I'll also be giving feedback on your homework so that you can get better at the next deliverable and of course resubmit if you really feel like you'd like to do it again. And I'll be providing evaluation of each one of the assignments throughout the course. So now let's talk about some of the materials that will help you get even better. I've already mentioned the elements of user experience, the Jesse James Garrett text that is really the foundation of this course. This course was written based on the table of contents in the ARC and the 5 planes of user experience, which we'll be talking about later in this lecture. Another really powerful book that isn't required but highly recommended is The Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman. Don Norman is recognized as the originator of user experience. He actually coined the term itself. And this book is such an eye-opener, not just for digital design and user experience, but for industrial design and engineering per se. I would absolutely recommend it to anyone who's in the design field, period. Another great one that I love, and it is an actual course requirement for my usability testing course, is Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. What an amazing book about website usability. Highly recommend it. And some other books that are really great reads on the periphery can be read pretty easily. A lot of these books on A Book Apart or Smashing Magazine books are less than 100 pages, can probably get done in a few hours, and are really focus in on specific subject matter that you might be passionate about. So I encourage you to look through those lists. And if you want to get into reading on user experience design, there is a lot. This list alone has some pretty heavy reading. Usability and Human Factors by Nielsen Norman Group is that first one on the list. Design Principles, where we see Christina Holden, who is a great speaker on content strategy. Information Architecture by Lou Rosenfeld, an amazing read. I would encourage you, if you want to get really immersed in this subject matter, to dig right into a lot of these books that are available out there and start reading as much as you possibly can. So let's go through some ground rules. First of all, there are no stupid questions. Send me any question you'd like that's relevant to the material. Without that in-class banter, it's really hard for me to give you that immediate feedback. So while you're watching these lectures, please take as many notes as you can and send me a list of questions and I'd be happy to answer them. Secondly, assignments have deadlines. Don't be late. I set aside time every week to mark the assignments that are due. And if you miss that deadline, you might miss that opportunity that I give myself to mark your assignment, which may just mean that you don't get feedback within that week. If you're going to contact me, use the email address that I provided you in the previous slide. It can also be found on Blackboard. And all files, marks, and feedback will be shared through Blackboard as well. You shouldn't expect to submit an assignment to me via email or me sending a request to you by email. Everything should be automated through George Brown College's Blackboard system. So with that, let me wrap up this module, let you go and read through some of that material if you haven't already. Send me a few questions and take a few notes. And we'll see you in the next video.